Yeah, between two burns. Between two burns, yeah, between two burns. Come and join the convo. Jason and Ethan here to talk, yo. Chillin' while we filling up the room with cigar smoke. Hey, between two burns. Between two burns, yeah, between two burns. This be the show that you like. We always keeping it hype. We got cigars and a mic, talking the pipe and the pint. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Back. You know what we're back for? The holiday season.
It's the holiday season.
The holiday season. Do.
And Hickory Dock.
Don't forget to buy me a present.
Yes.
That's how that song goes?
That's exactly
That's how my version of it goes. All right, buddy, we are back. Episode whatever it is. You'll know when I post it what episode number this is. 22, 23. No, actually, I think it's 6, 7.
Oh, my God. You tell you have
So
a teenage
6,
daughter.
7, let's go.
You can tell you have a teenage daughter.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter skips 6 and 7 when she's counting to 10. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10. So
nice.
Hopefully I don't have to ever endure the 6, 7 thing.
You know what that's called? Efficiency. If you're trying to get to
exactly.
10, why do you got to go through the other ones anyway?
It's like Kevin on The Office. Why say more word when few word do trick?
So we're back. Since our last episode, we did the pipe episode with Mr. Whalen, which I think was well received. And then we had the pipe show. Yeah, I'm going to move these headphones, my bad. Had the pipe show after that, which was awesome again.
Yeah.
This is, I think you asked me about it. We kind of talked about it. The marketing that we've done for Pipe Show over the last few years really have used that day as a day for pipes. We have great customer base for pipes, right? We're one of the few places around that do pipes, pipe tobacco, and we've really used that as a day for the pipe guys to come in, and we've pumped it like that, marketed it like that, and man alive, like they're coming out in droves. Whalen did an awesome job. Had Peterson, Savinelli, White Elephant, Jeff Payne, the pipe maker was there. We released 6 Virginias, the McClellan blend that we've had hanging around. So I thought it was awesome.
The thing about the pipe show, and I may have mentioned this on the pipe podcast, I can't remember. So many people come in the shop and say, I had someone tell me yesterday, pipes are dying. Come to the pipe show. Just come to the pipe show and you'll see that you're wrong.
Somebody literally came in yesterday and told you pipes were
Yeah, it was
dying?
the dude that wanted the value on his pipes.
Oh, well, that guy was a,
Oh, yeah, I know. But
listen, unless you want to get into retail pipe business, you'll never understand pipe guys.
yeah, he was a
pipe guy.
He was a pipe guy. But yeah, I mean, we had a great turnout. Thank you to everybody who came out. Thank you to Whalen and Jeff. It was really well received. Looking forward to doing it next year at the new space, which we haven't talked about on here yet, by the way.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it right here, right now.
Yeah.
So if you are a listener but not maybe necessarily a customer and connected to our social media or email system, we are, after 15 years at our current
roughly.
location, moving our Greensboro location early next year. We're working on it now. It is awesome. It is bigger, broader, shinier.
Shiny.
And it fits the pipe and pipe. Mm-hmm. You and I have been talking about this for quite a long time. It's been something that we've been working towards. We're hitting our head on the ceiling in the space that we're in now. We need more room to better service our customers. We have more and more people who want to use the lounge, more and more people who want to come at a time for which we're not open currently. So we're just 2 miles down the road. We're not way across town or anything like that, but still has the pipe and pint vibe. Like, you are going to go there and know that it's a pipe and pint, which was super important.
The way I've been describing it to people is if the Greensboro store and the Durham store had a baby, right?
Great way to describe it.
Bigger lounge space.
Didn't even think about it like that personally, but great way to describe it.
We'll have a full bar. We'll still have all the things in Greensboro that we sell.
It's as if the Durham store and the Greensboro store made sweet love.
Sweet,
And they came
passionate
in.
love.
There was a amicable divorce, and Greensboro kept the baby.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. My son came in and I said, let him watch.
Let him watch.
But yeah, no, it's going to be awesome. You know, it was great too because we announced it the Friday before the pipe show, the day before the pipe show. And, you know, one of the things that people kept coming in and asking during the pipe show is, can I have a beer here? And the answer has always been no, unfortunately. But I was able to tell them, not this year, but next year, pipe show. You can have a cocktail. Awesome. You can have a drink. We'll probably even do a specialty cocktail for the pipe show.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome. A lot of space. You know, we're not going to have to shut the lounge down for the pipe show.
No. Now you can commingle. You know, if you're a cigar guy, you want to.
And I think it's actually going to help.
Extend an olive branch, and we could have a meet a pipe guy promotion.
Meet a pipe guy.
You know,
you can have a pipe guy pen pal at the pipe show.
Yeah, it's during the holidays, so you know how you can. Adopt a child during the holidays.
You can adopt a pipe guy.
You can adopt a pipe guy. You can meet him. You can ask him questions. You can find out what his interests are.
Yeah, it's like a foreign exchange student, except they're local.
Exactly. And you'll never be able to get rid of them.
Never.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, once you meet a pipe guy, he's a friend for life, whether you like it or not.
That's exactly
whether you want that relationship or not, that, my friend, is a pipe guy for life.
Yep.
But yeah, so big space, expansion of our retail footprint for anybody concerned. Yes, we are having a bar aspect to it, but we are not becoming a bar. We are our retail selves still retail centric. We're being able to expand on our retail offerings. The new humidor, with the first humidor for Greensboro, we've been able to design you and I together, like we have the newer ones that we have, which we're happy with. We'll probably be looking at 10, 15, 20% increase in facings and offerings for folks. We're in a more retail-centric area of Greensboro for those who visited the store. And then we'll have that big lounge piece. We'll have the big outdoor patio piece, which, let's be honest, 80% of the time in North Carolina, you can hang out outside and smoke cigars, except for the rare super cold days in the winter if you don't want to be out there, and the rare, not rare, but if you don't want to be out in the heat in the summertime. But the rest of the time of the year between those, especially spring and fall, hanging out outside, we'll have a great setup.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
And like you said, later hours. I had someone come in last night at 5:30, bought some cigars. He bought a Tatuaje Fausto FT 187, which is 7 3/8 by 60, and he asked me, he's like, are you closing at 6 or do you hang out for a little bit? And I was like, man, we close at 6. I hate to kick you out. You're welcome to hang out on the porch. I know it's cold. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not at the new spot.
Yeah. We don't have to do that anymore. We have later hours. So if you're a person, and we've kind of told this to everybody that we've had the long conversation about the move and everything with, which was, listen, if we send out an informal poll to 1,000 customers, I can almost guarantee you no less than 900 of those people, their number one thing that they would ask for would be later hours. And when they say later hours, they don't even mean just like 10, 11 o'clock, which is going to be, in some instances, what we're open to. But we close at 6. That's been in Greensboro and really all the stores except for Durham now. And if you follow Durham's social media, you can see what it looks like after 7, 8 o'clock here. It's packed. But, really what they're saying is like, listen, I get off at work at 5 o'clock. I work a normal job, which is reasonable. And I want to come and hang out with you guys at least for a cigar to unwind or whatever it is, or just to pick up my product, and I think we lose out on that. It's like, I can't get there all week and then I'm doing something on Saturday. Like I can't make it. And I understand that totally. So even our shortest hours will go to 7 o'clock, which would allow that person to satisfy that itch. You get out of work at 5, you can come by, you can hang out, you can have one bourbon and a cigar, pick up the stuff you need and unwind for the day and be set.
Yeah, the other cool thing, at least in my opinion, now take this with a grain of salt, but the cigar shop's always been for the bros, for the dudes, but
yeah,
we've never been able to really offer anything to people who do want to bring their wives to come hang out. Guess what? At the new spot, you can bring your wife. She can get a glass of wine or a cocktail. You guys can sit outside. She's not going to leave smelling like smoke. Or you and your buddy come, bring both of your wives. We're going to have a little wine tasting section set up with tables and everything. Your wives can sit up front, drink wine, not smell like smoke. You and your buddy can go in the back, drink some bourbon, have a cigar. Can't wait to offer that for people as well.
It's going to be a place for which we can service a customer that we're just not able to serve before. whether it's my spouse or whomever enjoys cigars, but I don't. So it's hard for me to come to the Greensboro store. Totally understandable, completely reasonable. Now you can do that. You can, and we can service a customer now that's not interested in cigars at all. Like, I just want to hang out on your patio and have beer, have a cocktail, have a glass of wine, or whatever it is. And that's just something we can do now. And anybody who's come by the Greensboro store understands, like, we love our lounge. It's awesome. Great memories. You and I both met a lot of cool people and not so cool people over the years before we were even involved in the ownership of the business. And we were just coming around, especially for me, because, I think a lot of people, and we were concerned maybe a tough, and maybe an exaggeration of it, but we had some thinkings that maybe some people, were going to have a negative reaction to it. And so far, basically, we've touched everybody at this point now. I haven't received any negativity.
No, I haven't either.
Nothing that even resembles negative.
No.
There's plenty of, I'm going to miss this place. 100%. I'm going to miss the place. That's why it was important for us to go to a place that has
The
vibe that we currently encompass. And, we've told this to a bunch of people. I'm not sure you could have picked. I do not know that there was a better place for us to do it in Greensboro than what we got, short of lifting our existing store up and moving it. And again, we didn't want to do that. Like, we don't have the space inside to do
Correct.
what we want to do. And, for the overall health of our business for the next 15 to 20 years down the road, when Magnolia's out there slinging drinks for us, she needs a place to come and hang out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So we don't have a set date. We're not setting a date. There's obviously anybody who does anything like this, talking about a move in construction, whatever it is, knows it's the exact moment you set a date, that date then becomes inaccurate. Like, it's just not the case. We are shooting for the end of January, early February. I see that as a reasonable expectation. And if we miss that date, it's probably not far on the other side of that. But we have the normal trappings of stuff we deal with. We're also in the holidays right now. It's become the norm since COVID that, like, December 1st hits and people shut it down for the entire month of December, which is insane to me. But so far, so good. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, obviously you and I are super excited about it. And it's, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but anybody who comes to the new store will understand the moment they walk in what we mean by, like, oh yeah, okay, like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Especially when you see the humidor, you see the wine area if you're used to that, and then you step back in the lounge. We're not trying to be something we're not, but these are things that our growing customer base has demanded. And we've talked about, what do we do to reach the new consumer? And we got some, the meat of today's podcast is mailbag, which is going to be a lot of fun. We wanted to ask these questions, and there's some questions in there that I lead into the reason that we did this. A couple that Kyle from Greensboro asked that directly tie into why this is and the culture of it. So, it's chaotic, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, nothing of this magnitude can't be chaotic, right? Like, it's just impossible. Like, to think that it's just going to be some easy, nobody's going to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Correct.
That's the reality of it. With any business, any small business that's growing, you got to run around at all hours of the day and night and paint after dark or whatever it is. And, we're all willing to do that. And we talked about it with somebody in the Greensboro Lounge yesterday. The absolute vibe of the place is going to be awesome. The room to be able to chit chat and talk and have stories, and just the space and not be confined. And
I think the the interesting thing here that people may not know or realize is both you and I were customers of the Pipe and Pint before we got involved. You owning it, me working there. So we want it to be a place that we would want to hang out, right? And we've talked about it before, you know, having our fantasy football draft there.
Yeah.
Coming on days off when we're just wanting to chill, bring our wives, hang out. Like, it's going to be somewhere where we want to hang out. We're doing this for our customers. Like, we just are so excited about it. And it's going to be so awesome because we care so much about it, right? Like, it's not going to be this cookie cutter cigar bar, cigar lounge thing. Like, we're being very intentional with what we are doing, with what we're going to offer, because we have the memory of the Pipe and Pint when we were customers, not just owning it and working here.
Yeah,
you know?
and the thing to remember is, you know, first of all, like a lot of people have the memory of the store. Totally understand, because I do too. But this is not the second, you know, we're not moving from the original location. Correct. You know, there was other spots, and, you know, Larry moved with growth, and you just had to. You know, I was a customer before we moved to that space and loved the old space, and was like, oh man, we're moving, you know what I mean? But as soon as you saw it, you knew why. And it's going to be the same thing. And there's going to be a ton of stuff like you may not, if you're listening to this, you may not be thinking about like the ease for which we can do events now. Which, what does that mean? That means we can do more because it's not a huge time-consuming hassle to get everything brought in. We can have people show up. We can let you know what's happening. And we have the drinks and we have the ability to bring food over or whatever it is. We can do more creative events. Almost every one of our cigar smokers is interested in the pairing with whatever it may be, specifically, let's say bourbon. We can have representation for bourbon companies coming in and be like, this is why Elijah Craig or Woodford or whatever it is pairs nicely with these cigars. Here's the new stuff. And elevate the overall experience. But also, if you just want to be one of our guys who comes in at 11 o'clock every single day and has your cigar and a cup of coffee and sit in a comfortable chair and chat with the guys you chat with every single day, no problem. Nothing amiss.
Yep.
It'll feel like home, the familiar faces, the great customer service. You're just getting to do it with with a bit more gravitas to it. Okay? But if you're a person who wants to come at 9 o'clock with 3 friends, smoke cigars, and watch a college football game on a Saturday night while having a bourbon and some cocktails and a beer, we can do that now as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just it just opens the door to a million different things. Mm-hmm. Yep. So with that being said, if you're listening, keep an eye out on social media. I'm gonna start posting some pictures of progress this coming up week, now that we've made it past some hurdles with some work that we were doing. And it's going to be a fun ride. It's going to be hectic. It's the holidays. You're tasked with selling cigars during the holidays, and I'm tasked with doing this over here. So that's how it's going to work, and it's going to work good. All right, so we talked about it. Mailbag is the quote-unquote theme of today's episode. We solicited some questions from our customer base.
You know, I think we said on the last podcast or podcast before that when we said we were going to do this that there are no dumb questions. We stand corrected.
Whew, that's some dumb questions, man. Good Lord. So but we were able to wrangle enough good questions that we want to ask to do this mailbag that we're able to put together. Some of y'all get your shit together. Yeah, I don't want to hear these questions no more. Get your shit together. Yeah. Before we do that, you're drinking a Topo Chico and not smoking because you're getting over a cold.
Yes, I'm having a cup of Zenachino spearmint this morning, my flavor of choice. But while you're touching up your cigar, I'll talk about the stuff that came in recently real quick.
So that's what I was just going to ask you.
Yep.
We've got a couple new things that probably kind of scattered in.
Rocky 30 finally showed up.
It did.
Is real.
Yeah. Yep.
It is real, and it is good. It's available at all the stores. We also got in from Warped at a couple stores, Crock Bites, which is a smaller version of the Cocodrillo blend.
Yep.
Great for the wintertime. It's a 4.5 by 45 box press torpedo. I have smoked it. I thought it was great. We also got in Greensboro and Durham the Piece Unique, which is the creme de la creme of Warped. I can't remember if it's 300 boxes or 500 boxes, but very limited number of boxes made. Kyle himself picks out all the tobacco from it, all well-aged, high-grade tobacco. I know it's one of your favorite cigars from last year. I think it's a great cigar. So if you're looking for something luxurious during the holidays, especially if you like more mild to medium cigars, that is the cigar for you.
Yeah.
It is spectacular. And then we got a preview of a new Tatuaje cigar that's coming out next year, Sextooth. Sextooth. It's a collaboration with the band Sextooth that Tatuaje, Pete Johnson's did. This is, fun fact, not the first band collaboration that Pete's done. This is the first readily available one. He did one with Cigar or something like that.
Really?
Or what's the name of the band? War?
Gwar? GWAR,
Yes,
man?
those guys. He did Cigar with them. And that was
That's
really
a
good.
listen. This predates you. Gwar, huge band for the boys on Beavis and Butthead.
Really?
They would just sit on the couch, and when the music video would come, they go Gwar.
Yeah. So he did a collaboration with them back in the day. So this is his second one. Ecuadorian Habano wrapper over Nicaraguan binary filler, 4 different sizes. Great price points on them, all sub $10. They range from 6 to $9, if I'm not mistaken.
6'9".
Yeah.
Oh, I mean 6. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, the reason I say it's a preview, this first shipment was allocated. They did not have a lot of it. It will become regular production in Q1 of next year. So if you want to try it early, we've got some in Greensboro, Durham, and Winston-Salem. Once they're gone, though, they will be gone until it becomes regular production. So if you like it, buy some now. We won't have it for a little bit, but we will get it again at some point in the future.
Yep. Did you say what the makeup was? I missed you.
Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binary
Habano
filler.
Nicaraguan.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Outside of that, I think that's all the new stuff. We did have some new Viaje releases for Thanksgiving, Farmer Bill Hatchet, and
Yeah, Zombie
which
Farmer
was
Bill Hatchet,
great.
which you specifically said was
Loved
excellent.
it. And then Vampire Dust Red, and it looks like next month, or this month, I should say. Same to you, buddy. Thank you. Viaje is doing something new called One and Done. It looks really nice. Hopefully it's not really expensive, and hopefully it doesn't suck. So, but one of them has a Cuban pigtail twist like the Bajique, and I'm a sucker for that, so I really hope it's good.
Yeah.
But that'll probably
That
be...
kinda-
Oh, and we had Añejos and Hemingway Maduros come through.
Añejos,
There's a little bit of
holiday
that
drops
left.
from Fuente are in, so there may be a sprinkling of them depending on what store you're visiting. You probably won't get this pot in time, but we'll probably drop a little Opus this weekend as a holiday present for people looking to get those for gifts. But yeah, outside of that, probably not a whole lot until... Honestly, there's probably not a whole lot now until we get back to the end of April and get the introductions for PCA, right? Everybody kind of goes quiet. Listen, we all know the first of the year is kind of when everybody's working on things and stuff like that. But come by, we've got all the holiday stuff. Whatever you need, humidors, cutters, lighters, gift cards.
Got you covered.
We got you covered. All right, so episode whatever number it is, 6-7 is the mailbag. We steal this idea like other podcasts do it. We both listen to the Bill Simmons podcast. He famously does his mailbag. He had done it for years. He'd recently brought it back, and we listened to it and gave us ideas. Like, all right, let's solicit some questions from our customers, our listeners, our pipe and pinties or whatever you want to call them, about, just ask us a good question. We did say there's no dumb questions, and we were proven wrong within minutes.
Very wrong.
Within minutes. Very, very wrong. But we shouldn't be surprised. So we've got a collection of a bunch of questions, and we're going to go through them and talk about them and spend as much time as we want on them. But I think a lot of these cover a lot of stuff that people ask us even in store and that kind of thing are fairly kind of commonplace questions that which answer them here can be very helpful.
Yeah, there's going to be some questions that are very straightforward. I can give you basically what you need to do on it, and then there's some that are much more existential, we'll say, or opinion based. So it should be good.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to start with one that we received by email that you have on your list of things right here. And it was an interesting one, and I actually mentioned it to you yesterday, so I think you've probably thought about it a little bit. So this is from Matt. We're redacting any last names and names or anything like that. But this is from Matt. I've been smoking for well over 20 years, and I'm genuinely curious whether Cuban seed is just a marketing term, or do you think it actually matters much to the flavor profile of the cigar? I can't say I'm really sold on it, but I'm curious what you guys think. Thought this was an awesome question.
Yeah.
Because this is a reasonable question, because I think, and I'm going to let you kind of extrapolate, but I'm going to kind of give you my opinion where I come from on this, which is I think it's a little bit of both. Okay? Right. Cuban seed, a legitimate thing, legitimate seeds of tobacco brought from Cuba to other parts of the world and then used to grow tobacco. But then also used as a marketing term, right? To help, push a cigar over the edge, to try to give you the sense of Cuban-esque or Cuban or whatever it may be. And from my standpoint, the reality is could be Cuban seed, could be whatever seed, but really takes on the characteristics of where it was actually grown. Because Cuban seed, the same quote-unquote Cuban seed grown in Nicaragua and then grown in the Dominican, in my opinion, I think can be very different cigars because of the conditions for which they were grown. All right, but I'll bet it's still thunder there, but I'm going to let you answer that and tell me what you think.
I agree with you. Little history lesson first. And it just really extrapolates upon what you said. So when the Cuban Revolution happened,
Revolution.
the Cuban government came in and they took all of these farmers' fields and tobacco and everything. So when these farmers left Cuba to go to Honduras or Nicaragua or the Dominican Republic, the only thing that they could take with them was the seeds, right? And so what you have over time is these seeds continuing to be, not the same seeds, obviously, but those same type of seeds continue to be used. However, like you said, the flavor profile, yes, it comes from the type of tobacco, but the growing region has so much influence over it. It's just like with wine. Cabernet grown in California versus, honestly, just Napa versus Sonoma. Very different, right? So you can take Cuban seed Corojo and grow it in the Nicaragua and grow it in the Dominican Republic and grow it in Honduras. And because of the soil makeup, the pH content, all the things, and the farming techniques that these guys are using, it's going to taste different. Now, we all know that Cubans are illegal in the U.S. still, right?
Wait,
They're
really?
not? Yeah, I know.
Are you serious?
I shouldn't say we
Golly.
all know that.
When did
'cause
that
we
happen?
Don't know. We all don't know that.
When did that happen?
Yeah. I don't know, the 60s. But we also, what we do know is that they have an allure to them, right? Like, it's forbidden fruit. We've talked about that before. People think that Cuban cigars are still the best because you can't get them. And when you do get them, you have this elevated expectation. And so even if it's not the best cigar, you're going into it thinking it's the best cigar. So you're probably going to smoke it and still think it's the best cigar even when it's not, right? And so these companies aren't dumb. They realize this. And for an uneducated consumer or someone that is just getting into cigars, when they hear the word Cuban, they're automatically going to think that the cigar is better.
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%. I think that it is a real thing, but if there wasn't the allure of Cuba, or if Cubans were legal in America, I don't know that you would see it as much. They'd still use the same thing. They just probably wouldn't push the marketing of calling it Cuban seed as much as they do.
Well, then, because I think, we've talked about this 100 times, so I don't need to rehash it that much. But yeah, I'm a firm believer that if Cuban cigars embargo was lifted, that could be one of the worst things to happen to Cuban cigars. Because they do not have the facilities, people, production, or land, in my opinion, to supply a top-tier product anymore at that kind of level.
Yeah.
Do I think they make top-tier cigars? 100%. But because they're predominantly going overseas, Europe, Asia, whatever it may be, that the addition of the American market like that, because there'll be a lot of people here listening and be like, oh man, I got Cubans when I was in the Bahamas last month or whatever. Like, they got them. It's like, You probably did. Yeah. The odds are, unless you bought them at a very, very, very legitimate location, the odds that they were counterfeit.
Yeah, it's always funny because most people in America, when they say they're going overseas, what they mean is they're going down island somewhere, right?
Correct.
They're going to the Bahamas,
Yeah,
they're going to Jamaica, going to DR,
On a cruise,
on
whatever.
a cruise,
Yep.
whatever. There's not that many cigar shops down there that sell legitimate Cubans. Now, if you tell me that you're going somewhere to like Sweden or Ireland or somewhere over in Europe or Asia or something like that, yeah, you're going to really find them there. But and I know we've talked about this before, so I hate to beat a dead horse, but Cuban cigars are god awful expensive. And if you've been down island somewhere and bought 5 Cuban cigars from a dude on the beach that were in a box that had a plastic see-through lid on them for $30, they're not Cuban. The thing about it, though, is that even if you got a legitimate Cuban cigar, I agree, they still make good cigars. I don't think they're near as good as what is coming out of Nicaragua now.
No, yeah,
And
the best
I think
cigars,
that'll
in my
lead into
opinion.
another question
Yeah,
later
yeah,
down
we'll
the
get there,
road.
yep.
But the problem is not that many people have had them. And because not that many people have had them, there's still this allure to them. The companies know that, like I said, and so they use it as a marketing tactic, and I don't blame them for doing it at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, I think that's, at least by the way you and I go, I think that's the right answer.
Yeah.
So we've got these list of questions. I'm going to bump them around a little bit in the order that, we put them down because I think some can lead more friendly into others. So this was from David in Temecula. Do cigar blends change over time?
Would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
Well, I think that's a very simplistic question, but I think what the person is asking, like, do you believe that, or would you expect to get the same cigar from a company, over the course of, let's say, 20 years, right? And I think realistically, while you may describe the makeup as the same, the blend itself is not going to be identical. I don't think that's possible because tobacco is an organic, weather dependent, environmentally dependent product that it's just impossible to suggest that this lot of tobacco's growing conditions and results are the exact same as this one's. That's where I think I would fall. You agree?
I do. I think there's a couple things here. I wish, and I've talked with Mike about this a lot, old Leisure Leaf. Shout out to Mike. Love that guy. I've said it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But I wish every single company would box date their cigars. The reason is...
Yeah, I'll agree. I'm really surprised they don't, not just from a marketing standpoint, which I think is really cool, because I think there's some people who would gravitate towards like, oh, this one's from 2 years ago. I'd actually really like to have this one.
Yeah.
If you're confident in their ability to store it, but also just for their own like business from a manufacturer standpoint, like, if a manufacturer was to come into our place, box date cigars, unless they say this is a box, it's like they don't know how long it's been around.
Right.
Whatever. It seems like it could be just on their end useful information.
Yeah. The reason for me, and this is very cigar nerdy, and Mike and I during COVID, we chased a lot of my father and Tatuaje stuff because they box date all of their stuff.
Yep.
Products that had specific box dates on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because tobacco isn't quite like wine where it comes to vintages and whatnot, but tobacco crops change every single year depending on how much rain there is, depending on how dry, or all these different things. The tobacco crop can change, and because of that change, these companies have to adjust these blends. And the good companies, and I'm going to use Padron and Fuente as an example here, they do their best to make sure that the cigars taste as similar as they can to what they have in the past.
Sure.
But to do that, that means tweaking the blends, maybe swapping out some different primings and whatnot.
Yep.
But if you took a Padron 1964 Exclusivo that was made or available to buy today and smoked it versus one that was available 10 years ago, and I'm saying if you smoked them fresh, not age, right? Like one's 10-year-old, one. If you smoke those two cigars fresh, they would not taste the same.
No,
they may be similar, and I think that with Padron specifically, they probably would be similar, but they are not going to taste the same. And as much as I love Tatuaje, we've talked about, Mike and I have talked about this before, Brown Label specifically, there are, I'm going to call them vintages, good vintages and great vintages. Yep. Brown Label is always really good, but sometimes you get that that box, that run of that cigar that is just exactly perfect. It's exactly what you want Brown Label to taste like. And when that happens, that's when we talk about chasing box dates, right?
Yeah.
Like Brown Label from, I think it was 2 years ago, that had box dates of March and August, were spectacular. And if I saw it, I smoked it.
And I would go as far as saying, not only do I think you should box date everything, which I agree with you, is I would go as far as I think you should vintage your cigars like wine. And here's what I mean, because it's not different in the sense that the tobacco is coming from a growing period. It has to. That's when it's maturing and everything like that. No different than grapes. And there could be outside factors that drastically enhance what that cigar might taste like. We deal with this with wine, and what year was it? 21 or 22? The year of pretty heavy fires in California.
20. It was the class fires. Yeah.
20 was the fires, and so that drastically affected the vintages of wine from that time period.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to suggest that wouldn't affect the same with cigars. Maybe not necessarily fires, but was it drier? Were they having to apply more water than they normally would? Or were they having to bring it back because it was very wet? Was it hotter than normal? Was it colder than normal? Those are just, it's the real deal. You're growing a plant, no different than you're growing a grape. It's a plant. Like,
I think
it's going to have those things. So having that as a vintage, whether it's Brown Label 2021, that's from that batch, no problem. But if you're looking for boxes, you're like, damn, like the 21 wasn't good. It was great. You know what I mean?
The company that has done this best is Plasencia, because they have the Cosecha line, right?
Yeah, right. So that's
right.
The equivalent of doing that. The 151.
It's literally a vintage.
Yep.
They did the 146 first, and all the tobacco from that line came from the 146th harvest.
Mm-hmm.
Once that cigar was gone, it was done.
Yeah.
It was done. And then you smoke it next to the 149, and the 149 tastes completely different.
Yep.
Then they do the 151. The 151 tastes completely different. And
Yep.
then rumor on the streets that the next one's going to be 155. I guarantee you the 155 is going to taste completely different. And that alone, in my opinion, should answer the question whether or not the blends change over time, because that tobacco came from a specific harvest of a specific year, and it tastes a very specific way.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. And then it would also lend some gravitas to, what cigars are a bit legendary, right?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like Brown Label 2018, maybe the greatest Brown Label cigar of all time, or one of the best cigars of all time.
The other interesting thing, or a good answer to this, I'm going to use Tatuaje as an example again, is the Monster series, right? So,
Great example.
He's obviously the last 5 years done the reduxes of the original Monsters, and I've said on this podcast before that the Mummy is my favorite, and I have smoked an original Mummy. Now, I will say I didn't smoke it when it first came out, but I've smoked it since. It tastes nothing like the Mummy that just came out. It's supposed to be the same blend. Ain't no way.
Right.
Even if it is the same blend, it's a different crop of tobacco. It's going to have some variance to it. It may be close, and it may be just as good, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, it has to be. It's impossible to recreate the exact same conditions every time. And that goes from weather to the people handling it, the people turning pilons and stuff like that. Like, you cannot replicate in the exact same fashion.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think one last note on it, if a company says that they can, I think it's marketing, right? Because companies don't want consumers to think that their cigar is going to taste differently. And I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Because I think Padron has said before, like, oh, yeah, our tobacco is always going to taste like, I get it. But let's be logical about this. It has to.
Yes.
It has to. There's no way it can't.
And I don't think it's ever going to be egregious.
Yeah.
Where it's not going to go from smoking like a Maduro one year to smoking like a Connecticut the next. It's going to be nuanced changes, but they're going to be realized differences. Like
Correct.
depending on what kind of smoker you are. Let's be honest. Like if you're a once a year, you get a box, you may never know the difference, right? But if you buy the same box of cigars every, so often you continue, you'll start to pick up on those things and everything like that. All right, let's see. This will go into. We're going to continue kind of play off of questions. All right. This is from Sarah in Seattle. How does cigar size affect a blend, and are they blended differently? I think novice answer would be, I feel like that a newbie, I think, answer or simplistic answer would be, I believe that they're blended to try to replicate the profile in every size. Okay. But to get that, they have to be blended in a different fashion. So we know that smaller ring gauge cigars have a greater ratio of wrapper leaf to binder and filler. So that's going to obviously affect how flavor profile comes across. So that you're going to have to modify the interior of that to do that. Take it away there, Einstein.
All right. I love Terrence to death, Terrence Riley. Aganorsa obviously makes a lot of big ring gauge cigars.
Big ring gauge stuff. Yep, they've absolutely set up shop on the big ring gauge corner.
And they make good big ring gauge cigars. Mm-hmm. They're not for me, but we sell a lot of them, and they are good.
Yep.
However, if I smoke a Lunatic 5.5 52 short Robusto and a Lunatic La Montagne 880, they're going to taste different.
Yeah.
They have to. Mm-hmm. I don't care what anybody says, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever at all. Nothing wrong with it.
No,
but
not
it's
at all.
Going to taste different. And it may be very, very slight. That's the thing, right? I think good companies, like you just said, like I'm going to use Tabernacle for an example. Tabernacle has 5 or 6 different sizes. They all smoke relatively similar, but the Corona has a little bit more pepper. The Robusto is kind of the sweet spot. The Toro is my favorite because it has more time to develop. Double Corona is the same way. And then you get the David and Goliath, right? So there's subtle differences and nuances, but I will say those nuances are only going to be picked up by someone who has a more developed palate that actually cares about picking out the flavors.
Yeah. I don't know if you would agree with this or not. This is just personal experience. I feel like if you're talking about a cigar that the cigar is made in multiple to many ring gauge sizes where you can smoke a Corona up to a 660 or bigger, less educated, I feel like in that situation, the larger ring gauge has a tendency on a strength profile to drop a tick as it gets larger.
Logistically, it has to.
Right.
Because, all right, so let's say a cigar has 2 leaves of Ligero in it, okay? Corona's got 2 leaves, Robusto's got leaves, Toro's got leaves, Churchill has 2 leaves.
Yep.
You bump up to the 60, and you tweak that blend up, and now the 60 has 3 leaves of Ligero. Well, Ligero is really thick, and it does not want to burn. So if you put too much Ligero or just upper priming tobacco in general in a cigar, it's not going to combust. It's not going to burn right. You're going to have some serious issues with construction just because the inside of the cigar is going to be burning slower than the outside of the cigar because of how thick the tobacco is. So what they do is they fill it with more lower priming stuff. That lower priming stuff helps with combustion, but it's also going to affect the flavor, right? And another good example of this, and this is a really niche example, but I'm going to use it, is the bull, the Andalusian bull, okay? The Andalusian bull in that Salomon size is, in my opinion, much more medium-bodied, maybe medium full, depending on who you ask. Creamy, it's got some cedar notes, it's a little spicy, medium, right? But then they did the golden bull, and not many people have had the privilege to smoke it. Thankfully, someone gave one to me, and I appreciate that, and I was able to smoke it. That cigar, medium full, full-bodied, much more intense. The flavor profile is much more oily and rich than what the regular bull is, and they said it was the same blend. If that's the case, then it's a direct answer to this question of yes, size matters, because they don't taste the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Sick.
All right. Let me pick my next one here. And this will, again, a lot of these, we're very much on the cigar education piece. So we hit with the blends. Let me see here. Fill the dead air for a second.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like there's a good question that Kyle from Greensboro asked us.
Yeah, I'm kind of holding that one a little bit for the end.
Hold that one a little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yep. Well, depending on which one you're talking about.
About the palettes changing over time. That one.
Oh, let me see if I can't find that.
I vaguely remember the question. If you can't, if I didn't write it down, I may not have written it down.
I don't think you write it down. So we'll come back to it because I know you know what it is. But let's go with this one right here, which is going to be a common question. What humidity should my humidor be at, and how many Boveda should I use?
So this is a simple question, in my opinion.
Simple, depending. So with just the facts that you got, it's a little bit harder. So it depends on what you're using.
Yeah.
And how many cigars and how many size. I love the look of them. I'm not a huge... Now, this depends on what you do with your cigars at home. Do you like them out for people to see, your humidor, stuff like that? I'm not a huge wood humidor fan as far as overall capturing of humidity, depending on the level of humidor that you're looking to get. I love the Pelican case style, or even Tupperware or Cooladors with everything like that. But for me personally, I have one large Pelican style case at home. It's probably, like 12 by 12-ish kind of, large one. I go with 169% humidity Boveda pack, and it does a perfect job. They make all sorts of different percentages for Boveda. For cigar purposes, we're talking, really people ask the 69, 70, 72% question. We sell 69% because we feel like that's the right number. And then different sizes, different things. 69 is always the right number. Let's be honest. All right. So it is a little dependent, but if you're 69 to 72%, if you choose to use one of those packets, your cigars are going to be very comfortably done. It just depends at that point what you're putting them in and what the seal level is on them, right?
Yeah, so I want to talk about humidity in general for a second, because the industry has perpetuated what I think is a lie for a long time, and that's the rule of 70-70. Right?
70-70, agreed. That is, I would be like, if we're myth-busting myths for cigars, that's top of the list.
So what we're talking about here is that they say, the industry says that the perfect humidity and temperature to keep cigars at is 70% relative humidity and 70 degrees. It's not a bad rule, but it's also...
If that's what you're keeping them at, you're fine.
Yeah, but it's more complicated than that. So in my personal opinion, when you're wanting to smoke a cigar straight out of your humidor, I like to keep my humidors at somewhere between 65 to 68%. The cigars are still humidified, but that little bit less humidity helps them to combust a little bit better, especially during the times of the year where it's either really humid outside or it's not. Because if a cigar is over humidified during those times of year, the one or two things is going to happen. If it's too humid outside and your cigar is too humid, you're going to light it and the thing's not going to want to burn. Because there's just too much moisture in the air. There's too much moisture in the cigar. It's going to taste bitter. It's going to taste acrid. During this time of year, during the wintertime, when there's not a lot of humidity outside, what's going to happen is you're going to light it, and that humidity is going to need to go somewhere. When that happens, that's how you get wrapper leaves popping, because the humidity is trying to escape the cigar, so it's going to go out the side of the cigar, and your cigar is going to fall apart on you. So I like to keep my I want to smoke them now cigars at 65 to 68% humidity, which is why 69%, in my opinion, is perfect.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to aging cigars or keeping them long term, which I think was a question that we had.
That kind of answers that. So we'll move right into another question. And this is from Chris in Denver. First of all, these questions came from all over the country.
They did.
Okay. Is aging cigars worth it, and how do I properly age cigars?
Yeah. So I'll finish answering or saying what I was going to say, and then I'll go into that a little bit. So when I'm aging cigars, I do like the humidity to be a little bit higher for no reason other than what I've found is that higher humidity helps the cigars age a little bit better. I don't know what the science is behind it. This is just my own personal findings. It's what I do at home. And with aging cigars, I actually, like you, I keep them in a giant weather-sealed, essentially Tupperware container. It's a 55-gallon like tub, essentially. And I keep multiple 69% Bovedas in there. But the nice thing about that, because you're talking about seal, that gets all the way up to the 69%. Whereas in your wooden humidors where you're losing a little bit humidity, those 69% packs usually don't get quite up to that 69%, which is why it sits to that 65 to 68. I've found that excuse me, that works a little bit better when it comes to aging cigars long term. Now, is aging cigars worth it? Is a very subjective question.
Yeah, that's very much on what kind of cigar smoker you are.
Yeah.
What your goal with having cigars is.
Yeah. So, if you want to see how a blend changes over time, the answer is yes. If you like a cigar that is more medium bodied or medium full or even mild, the answer is yes.
Yep.
If you want something that's big, bold, spicy, full-bodied, the answer is absolutely not. If you smoke flavored cigars, the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah, that stuff will fall off over time.
So, we've got a customer who listens to this podcast, great guy. He told me that he's got a box of sealed pre-embargo Cubans from 1950, which is really, really cool.
Super cool.
Really
so
cool
if you
to
have them for the collectability of it and saying that you have it because you're a cigar person, that's awesome. It's a collector's piece. It's a piece of historic art.
Yes, absolutely.
A cigar is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak for it. I've had the opportunity to have some very old cigars. I don't know if I've had anything pre-embargo, but, from the 80s, from the 70s, there has not been a single one where I've been like, wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
There is a time for which it all expires. And I don't mean like goes bad expires, but just what the cigar was crafted to be like is no longer. We've saw this with El Rey de los Habanos that we had. We love that cigar. That cigar was 10 plus years old. Right now it's 10 plus years old. There's not many left. There's actually none left other than what you and I own personally. That cigar is awesome right now. Awesome. But it is dramatically different than what it was when it landed in the shop X number of years ago. And we both had kind of told people and told ourselves it's okay to smoke these and not hold on to them for any much longer because they may be disappointed and not be what you hoped when you go back to revisit them.
Yeah. So when cigar companies roll a cigar, a good cigar company, they age those cigars for somewhere between 45, hopefully up to 90 days before they box them and put them
They have
out.
every intention of you smoking that cigar the day you buy it.
But yes, that's what I was going to say. The reason they do that first part is because cigars go through what we call a sick phase, where the ammonia and everything is coming out of the cigars. You have to do that while the humidity gets right in them, because otherwise when you smoke it, it's just going to not taste good. Once it's on the shelf.
I don't mean, I'm going to let you continue,
Yeah.
but interrupt. But also why we saw during shortages during COVID, some cigars come with some issues like that, because in an effort to fulfill demand, companies were taking some shortcuts and not taking that full step. And we got some cigars that were, you may have gotten one that was heavy on ammonia. You're like, what is that? And that's because they were not given the proper amount of time that they would have been under normal circumstances.
Yep. But when it comes to aging them long term, I always tell people, Nicaraguan cigars, the most you want to go on them, the most, and it is very blend dependent. And I think that's the big takeaway from this, is whether or not it's worth aging is very dependent upon the blend.
Yeah, sure.
But Nicaraguan cigars you can get somewhere between 10 to 15 years out of before you really start getting diminishing returns. I think the sweet spot on that, though, and again, it's blend dependent, so this is going to be a wide range, is somewhere between 2 to 7 years.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that 5-year mark seems like
5-year
if
mark's
you're,
good.
If you're hell-bent on doing it and this is what you want to do, and you're willing to go to that 5-year point, I think that feels like the sweet spot.
Yep. Dominican cigars, on the other hand, and this goes back to how thick the tobacco is and the flavor profile of tobaccos grown in each country. Dominican cigars, unless it's something like an Opus, 5 to 7 years maybe, because Dominican cigars are already mild, and so when you age the tobacco, the nicotine falls off of it, and along with that comes flavor profile. You're going to be smoking something that's so mild that a lot of times you can't really taste it, especially if you don't have, again, a really refined palate.
Yep.
There's exceptions, right? Bulls probably, Opus, maybe some Davidoffs. But outside of that, your average, I would never age a Fuente 858 or a Fuente Double Chateau or a La Aurora, Connecticut, or a Avo or something like that, because it's not going to be what they intended it for it to be.
That's right. There's certain cigars that they're put on the shelf. Well, really all of them, but let's be honest. But like some of the cigars you pointed out, they're not meant to be aged. That cigar is developed, crafted, grown, all those things. So when it hits your shelf, it's really at its best.
I think a good example
And it's
of
meant
that
for you to smoke it now.
is Liga Privada. Liga Privada, in
interesting.
my opinion, smoked fresh, awesome. Aged Liga Privada just loses the pop that you expect to get from Liga
Interesting.
Privada.
Yeah, okay.
And I think where this whole aging thing comes from is from Cuba. But the funny thing about it is the reason Cuban cigars age so well is because they aren't properly fermenting and aging the tobacco to begin with.
Right.
So you have to age them for them to get good.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it may be very much of an instance where it's like you had one, you're like, okay, and you stuck one away, and then you came back to it a year and a half later, and you're like, oh man, this is good. It's like, yeah, there's a good chance that maybe that cigar wasn't ready to begin with, right? Like,
whereas these Nicaraguan, Dominican, Honduran companies, they're doing it properly. The tobacco is aged properly, so you don't have to age the cigars for it to be good. It's good. Now, you can age it and see how it changes over time. I've talked about Karloff before. Karloff is one of those blends that aged is beautiful in my opinion, but again, that's subjective. That's my palate.
Right.
I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who like Karloff when it's fresh. Ain't nothing wrong with it. So if you want to do it, just know that there's a chance you're taking a risk, but you don't have to, and you shouldn't have to with a good cigar.
Yeah, what's your recommendation on aging a Zin that you're about to pop? Are you
they have a best by date of about a year. I suggest in the first
36 hours?
Not even. I would say 24. The can should be gone.
My God, man.
Not a problem.
We're gonna continue to play off of this a little bit because it kind of naturally goes in. So interesting. This is from Brittany in Greensboro, who wants to know. And very much comes with the aging process. Is plume mold? And
This is the age-old question.
This is the age-old question. We deal with it all the time. We get some nasty reactions from people in certain instances or whatever who just insist. I'm going to give the cigar shop owner simplistic, tell it to your face answer, which is no, it's not. It just isn't. They're two different things, but I'm going to let you extrapolate on it.
If you want to get scientific about it, technically, yeah.
God damn it.
It is, but not bad mold, right? I always explain it to people as it's the crystallization of the oils of the tobacco because not every cigar is going to plume. Usually it's your darker cigars. Esteban Carrera, great example.
Yep.
Aladino is a great example. JFRs plume really well. Actually, a lot of Aganorsa stuff does. But the difference between plume and mold is so night and day. And there's a couple telltale signs to know whether or not it's plume and mold. One, they look different.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to be like, oh, that's mold. No, plume is like little spots on the cigar that aren't fuzzy. Mold is literally covered the cigar.
Mold's what you would expect to see on your cheese or your bread, man.
Correct.
Like, it's
And
obvious.
Going to cheese right there, the smell. That is the number one way.
It's going to get funky. If it's moldy, it's funky.
If it's moldy, it's going to smell like cheese, or it's going to smell like a dusty basement, or just bad, right? Like, we know what mold smells like, unfortunately, because we've smelled it at some point in our lives. Plume doesn't really have a smell to it at all.
And that's opposite of the fact if you get some cool cigars that don't have mold on them and they got a bit of funk to them, then you're like, okay,
that's that good funk.
That's the good funk.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. The other thing that's usually a telltale sign is whether or not it's on the foot of the cigar. You don't typically see plume growing on the foot of the cigar. You'll usually see mold there. If that happens, my recommendation is to throw the cigar away. Sometimes you can save a moldy cigar. I don't recommend it really, but like if you're really hell-bent on smoking it, if it's not on the foot, there's a chance it's not inside the cigar. But if it's on the foot, there's a chance that mold's all in that cigar.
Yeah.
And it's lost. I wouldn't recommend smoking a moldy cigar, but plume only happens when the proper conditions for aging cigars is met.
Yep.
So
That's correct. That's correct.
Oh, and plume wipes off.
Plume
Mold
wipes
doesn't.
off. Mold
That's the
doesn't.
other thing.
Mold is attached itself.
Yeah, plume
Where-
just
where
with your
plume-
finger
plume
you can
is, plume
no
is
problem.
coming away from.
Yep.
That's correct.
Yep.
This is from who is this from? This is from Magnolia in Greensboro. This is
Didn't know
wild.
she could type.
That's crazy. She wants to know how do I know if my cigar is smoking or going to smoke properly? So a couple things from the cigar shop owner, okay? First of all, don't be coming in and doing things to the cigars that you're attempting to buy. Don't be coming in squeezing them, sniffing them, rubbing them, rolling them.
Dear God, don't stick them in your mouth.
None of that stuff. The reality is, in a lot of cases, you don't know. It's not expected that it should smoke improperly. Now, there's some outside factors too, right? Like the way for which you have cut the cigar can drastically have an effect on how the cigar smokes. If it's not, if the cut you made is closed at the bottom and open more at the top, it's going to have a tendency to draw more air through that top area, right? So that's going to burn faster. So you may get that kind of uneven burn. If you don't open it enough, you're going to struggle. You're going to be sucking on it like a, milkshake straw kind of thing. And then there's construction issues, right? You can run into cigar being underfilled, and it may burn really fast and really airy because they didn't get the ratio of the tobacco correct at manufacturing. It could be the opposite. It could be too tight. It could be overrolled. No matter what you do, no matter how much you cut it, you can't get the proper amount of airflow through it. And then there's the aging factor. Not aging factor, but the storage factor. Too dry, too humid has massive impacts on how the cigar is going to smoke.
It's one of those things, and I'm going to sound like an elitist here, so I apologize for that.
I love it when you sound like an elitist.
Unless you have been smoking cigars for a long time,
There's no way you're going to know.
there's no way you're going to know. If you go in and you think you can squeeze a cigar and know if it's going to smoke right, you're wrong. Because unless you've squeezed a bunch of cigars and know the difference between what a over-humidified, under-humidified, overfilled, plugged, or underfilled cigar feels like,
Yeah.
you're not going to know. So if you're going in, oh, yeah, it's nice and firm, it's like, well, it could be dry.
Easy.
It
Before we
could
get
be
an NC-17 rating on
overfilled.
the
Yeah,
spot,
right.
bro.
Or maybe it's properly humidified and the cigar's packed right, and, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
But unless you've either worked in it or smoked for a long time and really know what you're doing, you're not going to know. The other interesting thing with how it's going to smoke right, it also comes down to technique, right? Properly cutting, like you said, properly lighting, but also properly smoking. If you smoke a cigar too fast, it's going to get too hot.
Yep.
And the flavors are going to get bitter and acrid. If you smoke a cigar too slow, it's going to go out, and you're going to have to relight it a lot, and normally the flavor is going to get really bitter and acrid. So there is a technique to it, and it's funny because as humans, we have the tendency to blame anybody but ourselves. But sometimes it's just our fault. Right? Now, I'm not saying there's not construction issues with how it's rolled, if it's plugged or something like that, but if you smoke a cigar and you're trying to chief the thing down and you're wondering why it doesn't taste good, like, man, it's your fault. You got to slow down. Or if it's burning improperly, maybe you lit it unevenly. Maybe the bottom half was lit better than the top half. Like, if you're not paying attention to it or you don't know what you're doing, unfortunately, you're going to suffer some negative consequences from it.
Yeah. Agreed. You're not going to know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you've done everything properly and you have a bad experience with it, the odds are it was a construction issue.
Yeah.
Right. That happens. That's why we partner and do business with brands that we feel like do a good job of avoiding that. We know that, we've talked about how well Perdomo does on the construction aspect of it. Again, we talked about it with Cole and the manufacturer, the site visit, podcast that we did. They take great lengths to test every cigar before it ever goes out to help assure that that's not going to happen. But the reality is if you smoke cigars long enough, it's just
it's going to
gonna
happen. There's also something somewhat existential about this too. We always talk about when you're smoking a cigar, time, place, and mindset, right? If you're smoking at a time where you're stressed out, or you're smoking at a place where you're not happy, or you're smoking in a mindset where you're in a bad mood, there's a chance that cigar is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But it's because of where you're at or how you're feeling.
Yep.
If you're smoking with friends, celebrating something, you could have a mediocre cigar be one of the best cigars you've ever had because you are in a enjoyable environment.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct.
So I think there's a lot of that plays into it too. But from a technical standpoint, everything else we just said matters.
Yep. All right. This question actually comes from Patrick in Durham.
Wow.
That's crazy. Does a cigar band's appearance influence your decision on whether or not you buy it for the first time? For me personally, this is a 100% yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cigars, we compare them to wine all the time. There's a reason they spend time, energy, money on the packaging. Okay. It's meant to stand out. It's meant to draw your attention. It's meant to get you to lift it up out of the box. I'm a sucker for bands that have the vintagey old world look to it. I'm not as a sucker for some of the large, long cover up, 30 to 40% of the cigar bands, not huge on like the Rocky big bands from an appearance standpoint. They look nice. They're well designed. That's a band that's going to get peeled off for me near immediately, right? Like, I love the OG retro LFD, the floral bands. Love that band. Yeah. It looks super classic, super cool. When I first started smoking and was venturing out into other things, my father's like OG blue band, the OG Cuban classic band. They're still pretty similar now, but they've come a little bit larger, a little bit more ornate, a little bit more things on them. Love the retro bands. So I am like a sucker for that style, that it looks like it's got that kind of vibe, that classic cigar kind of vibe to it. I love the paper wrapped wood boxes.
Yeah.
I love them. That just you just I don't know. There's something about the look of that old school kind of vibe to it. So for me personally, especially when I first started smoking cigars, now for me now, no, that doesn't influence, what I buy because we're so knee deep into it. We know who's making what and what's really good. I love the simplicity from a consumer, like smoking it, but hate it from owner standpoint, the simplicity of Padron core bands, right? It's Tatuaje does this too. They're super simple. They're like, this is what we are. This is what this is. It's going to be awesome, man. We don't need to mess with. It has that, I didn't have to design you a super fancy band to let you know this thing's super awesome. Owner-wise, ringing it out, goddamn pain in the ass. I would love to be able to
Just put a
differentiate
barcode
it.
on
Just put a barcode on the goddamn thing. So for me, and we talk about this with wine, especially it doesn't influence me now because, of my knowledge in the wine world over the years and everything like that. But as a young person, you're buying bottles of wine, you're like going to go to the grocery store and get a bottle of wine to take to a dinner for a friend, stuff like that. Let's be honest, you buy what the label looks like. I'm still a sucker for wine labels too. Like we got some awesome ones. Now they have a tendency to go along with really good wines. I'm not as big of a fan as the new Double Diamond label as I love
The old Double Diamond label's classic.
the original Double Diamond. Well, I don't want to say if it's original because I can't go all the way back, but the iteration a couple years ago. I love the wine and the label on the Reynolds stuff, the hand painted floral labels, things like that. I love the Orange Swift, the photograph,
The machete.
the machete. I love that. So packaging and design is done with a lot of intent, even when it's simple and clean. And you think like, oh, they didn't put a lot of effort into that or something like that. No, they did. They're going for something very, very specific.
So for me, I'm with you. I have already stated how I feel about Cuban cigars on here. The Cubans have the best packaging, though,
Undoubtedly.
in my opinion.
Undoubtedly.
And even the new stuff that they're coming out with. I saw a friend sent me a video of, I think it was a new Ramon Aliones box that was a limited edition. The cigar was like $100 a piece, but the box looked like it was
sick.
$100
Yeah.
cigar box. Like,
Yep.
my favorite packagings are like the old Cuban style Partagas. I can't remember the name of the size. Tins. It's a 5-pack in a metal tin. The ceramic jars from Cuba.
Ceramic jars are awesome.
The Cohiba Bahique box that comes in the velvet. Like, we've seen most of our manufacturers copy that stuff, right? Like, one of the selling points of the Aganorsa 25th anniversary was that the boxes came from the same factory that did the Cohiba Bahique boxes and were modeled after the Cohiba Bahique
And they looked
boxes. Awesome. I don't like the new, we're going to try and be innovative packaging near as much.
Me neither.
Like, Viaje, I appreciate what Andre does with packaging, but to me, it comes across as hokey a lot. We've talked about our least favorite box of the year, which was the fish tank, not fish tank box.
I think it comes off as repetitive and lazy to me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, too, like we've seen, like LCA, like the cartoony bands and stuff, like, and unfortunately, it gets taken to an extreme where now it's under FDA scrutiny because it looks like you're advertising to kids and whatnot. I don't like that for a multitude of reasons.
Yep.
I don't think it looks good, but I also don't like what it does for the industry. The classic, like my father bands, Placencia does a great job. Aganorsa, like a lot of Perdomo does a great job. Like a lot of the brands that we carry do a really good job. And subliminally, even if you say it doesn't affect what you buy,
it does.
It 100% does because it is a human characteristic that we
it
all
is
have.
Ingrained in your DNA and your psyche. It affects everything you buy every single day.
Yep.
That's just a fact. Whether you're buying soda cans, whether you're buying, spaghetti noodles, whatever it is, potato chips, it directly affects what you purchase. Undoubtedly. Which leads me to the next question. This was from Austin in Winston-Salem.
Wow.
So shout out to Austin, whoever you are.
I've heard he has a great beard.
We'll leave that for a different one. Oh, you weren't saying he's a beard. Gotcha. I gotcha. Our expensive, because this leads actually kind of from our packaging standpoint. Are expensive cigars actually better? This is probably the most loaded question on here, because if it's expensive, does it make it inherently better? No, of course not. That's not true with anything. But it also doesn't mean that something expensive should be thought of like, oh, it's just expensive. We have gone and smoked through expensive cigars where our first line is it's good, it's not $50 good. And then we've gone through stuff that's expensive and it's like, yo, I would think this is worth every dime of this. But we have inexpensive cigars where it's like, oh, this is, okay, I get it. Like, it's a $7 cigar. Right, that's fine. And we have cigars that are down there at that price point where you're like, you'd pay $15 for it. No problem.
I think a good example, a recent example of this, and I have not smoked 2 of the 3 of these cigars, so this is not my personal opinion. This is just Half Wheel's opinion.
Okay.
Half Wheel reviewed My Father Tatuaje La Union from this year, the red and the black or whatever it was. Both of those cigars are $60 retail. Very limited, only 1,500 boxes were made. Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Sumatran wrapper, coming from 2 very storied companies. One of them got an 83, and one of them got an 82. The very next day, they then reviewed the Nica Rustica Shade Connecticut,
Yep.
which is a $7 cigar, so you could literally buy almost 10 of them for the price of one of these other cigars, and it got an 89.
Yep.
But then we look at something like Peace Unique, which we were talking about earlier, that's $39.99 retail, that
to me is worth every cent.
Unbelievable cigar, right? It's handcrafted, it's well made, hand selected. Kyle did a great job on it. The packaging is, the whole experience plays into the price, right? So Padron's another example. All right, Padron PB97 retails for $40. Show me another cigar on the market that tastes anything like it.
Yep.
Is it worth $40? Only you can decide that.
Yep.
But there's nothing else that tastes like it, so they can kind of charge whatever they want to for it. You know what I mean? Now, whether or not it's worth it, that's completely up to you. And I think that's the real answer to
The
this
real
question.
answer is it's up to you.
It's completely
what
up
you
to you.
get out of it.
Yeah, if you want to, just because it's like watches, right? Kind of. Like, kind of.
Yeah.
Right? Or wine. Wine's a better example,
Yeah.
right? We always talk about the values in wine. Like you brought up Double Diamond. Double Diamond's $100 a bottle. We'd put it up against a $300 bottle of wine. Are there $300 bottles of wine out there that are better, like Gellis's Blue Monster?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Worth every penny. Are there $300 bottles that aren't as good as Double Diamond? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it's all what the value that you see in it.
Where do you think it's good? I'm just going to extrapolate on this because I think I have it in my head maybe. Where do you think let's just, in our humidor generally speaking, and it doesn't have to be, but not asking you for a specific cigar or anything like that, where do you think that price point is right now that you can just get, I want to say the best cigar, because it's very personal, but did you feel like this is this awesome sweet spot of just great cigars from many different companies and stuff like that? I think right now, because of price increase and stuff like that, it's hovering in that $13 to $14
I was
range.
going to say 15.
Yeah.
Because at $15, you've got access to all the super premium stuff from Perdomo, Tatuaje. You can get some of the 64s from Padron. You can get anything from My Father. You can get anything from Drew. You can get a Liga Privada. Maybe not the bigger sizes,
good
but
chunk
you could
of stuff
get
from
one.
Padron.
Yeah, I mean, at $15, you have access to the best of the best. All the good stuff from Fuente. The new Oro from LFD is right around that price point. The sad thing is, if you'd asked me that question 5 years ago, it'd have been $10. But that's a podcast for another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Would have said, $10 was the number.
Yeah.
Probably pre-COVID,
Yeah.
or even a good chunk during COVID. But once,
I would recommend people, because this is what we do. When you smoke an expensive cigar, you need to compare it to something else in that price point and ask yourself, would you rather have that, or even better, compare it to something less expensive and say, would I rather have 2 of these or 1 of these?
and if it's a super expensive cigar that you're like, this was awesome, like just from a realistic, it was not the timing and thing. Like you sat by yourself and you're like, I love this thing, but you're like, I'm not going to spend. Explore the lower levels that company makes, right? Because the odds are, I don't know if we have any company inside the humidor that makes, let's say it's 5 tiers, that 4 tiers of the cigars are shit, but their 5th tier is unbelievable. Right. If you love Padron Anniversaries and it's at $40, you're going to love core natural and Maduro Padrones, right?
Yeah, if you love Liga, smoke Undercrown.
Absolutely. Or Nika, for that matter.
Yep.
If you're coming down even further, but broadleaf Nika.
If you like Perdomo Legacy and the price point is different, smoke Perdomo 20th Sungrown, right? Like save you a couple bucks. If you like Plasencia
or Habano or La 23 even.
Yeah. If you like Plasencia's Almafuerte, try the Cosechas. Yeah, they're different tobaccos, but like Plasencia has a very specific blending profile that they like to do, whether it's Nicaraguan or Honduran. Smoke it, or smoke a smaller size of it. You know?
Or what was the profile of that expensive cigar that you smoked? Was it Connecticut broadleaf? Was it Cameroon?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you liked about it, and explore some affordable options.
I would even
that,
say
that blend profile.
I always talk about how Opus is so unique, and it is. But if you like Opus, try the Arturo Fuente RSGs.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm not saying it's going to be the same, but 1, you can find them at all times, and 2, they're usually somewhere between $10 to $20 cheaper.
Some of the Ashton stuff, because it's made by Fuente, has that BSG and stuff like that. All right, let's see here. This comes from David in San Francisco. So thank you, David, for sending this in. You're going to answer 99% of this question, because I actually don't know the answer to this. Okay. I just pay the bills. Okay. Where does the flavor of the cigar come from? Now, I'm going to answer this from, I smoke a lot of cigars. I am not as into cigar culture as you are and some of the other guys are. I was always led to believe that a majority of the flavor comes from the wrapper. I think that, though, is dependent on a whole bunch of different factors.
Yeah.
Okay. Size.
I think size is the biggest
Size is
one.
probably the biggest one. We talked about this. And you tell me if I'm being false here, but we talked about it, that the truth is that smaller ring gauge cigars, you're smoking wrapper, especially, let's say, a Lancero.
Yeah.
Where, that's a lot of wrapper leaf compared to binder and filler. So educate me and the listener.
Yeah. So
and David from San Francisco, who sent that question in.
Thank you, David. I would encourage anybody to go and look at Tatuaje Kahonu 2012. All right, it's a Toro size. I think it's 6.5 by 52. It comes in 5 different wrapper leaves: Corojo, Habano, Broadleaf, Sumatra, and San Andreas Maduro. Smoke every single one of those, and then try and tell me that most of the flavor doesn't come from the wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the same core blend, and they all smoke completely different in a normal size cigar, right? Now, Terrence said on the podcast that, like, in the bigger ring gauge stuff, more flavors come from the binder and filler. That very well may be true, but I think we're getting into some really technical stuff at this point of what kind of primings you're using, what kind of fermentation level this has to it. Like, I think another interesting company to smoke is Romacraft, and this is going to go back to this wrapper thing again. So Aquitaine and Cro-Magnon are supposedly the same cigar, except the Aquitaine has an Ecuadorian Habano Ligero wrapper, a broadleaf binder, and I think Nicaraguan fillers, whereas the Cro-Magnon flips the wrapper and the binder. So it's got a broadleaf wrapper and then an Ecuadorian Habano Ligero binder. Those two cigars taste completely different.
Yep.
Right? But according to them anyways, it's supposed to basically be the same cigar with stuff flipped. Now, could they be used in different primings, different grades? Could that affect the flavor? Absolutely. But I would still argue that the vast majority of the flavor comes from the wrapper leaf. And I think you can see that with any. We're going to use Padron again. Padron Core, Natural, and Maduro taste completely different.
Yep.
And it's the same binders and fillers, but one has a natural wrapper and one has a Maduro wrapper. So I just don't see a world where you can argue against that, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either.
Especially if you've smoked a lot of cigars.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Which
Perdomo's another great example. Habano, Connecticut, Sun-Grown, and Maduro all have different flavor profiles, and the binders and fillers on them are supposedly
pretty similar.
the exact same.
Or exact same, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, if these companies are being honest, right, and that's the thing, right, if what they're telling us is true and that these binders and fillers do not change based on the wrapper leaf, then yes, the flavor is going to come from the wrapper.
Yep. This is, I'm going to excuse me, tag another question right onto this because it's a very simple answer to this, in my opinion. And this comes from Vince in Houston. It says, to me, cigars taste just like tobacco. Are tasting notes a real thing or just made up to sell a cigar? They're a real thing.
Yeah.
Now, I think people are better at picking them out. They're very nuanced. Can be. Sometimes they can be. I think if you're a person trying to achieve or learn, you're new or experienced, whatever, and you're trying to think, I think there's some outside factors that you can use to enhance that. I've told you this, and I'll, for me personally, die on the hill. There's no one thing that I enjoy with cigars that helps me get different tasting notes out of it than having it with coffee. For me personally, and you know, for you it may be bourbon or something else like that. There's certain things that don't enhance it for me. Like having a beer with my cigar generally doesn't do anything for me as far as picking what's out of the cigar. But for some reason, coffee for me, and I don't mean like, oh man, I'm picking up coffee notes in the cigar. I mean like, for whatever reason, coffee really helps me pick up spice and the floral notes of certain cigars. But I understand the premise that like it just tastes like tobacco to you. I get that.
I do too. I'm going to relate this to cooking. All right.
To cookies or cooking?
Cooking. There's 5 main flavor zones on our tongue, right? And a perfect dish hits all 5 of those flavor zones that are balanced. A good, well-made cigar is crafted in a way that should hit those flavor zones, but sometimes it doesn't, so you need something to enhance it, to hit that other thing, to basically stimulate your brain to bring out the flavors. For me, and I'm going to sound, again, like an elitist here, if I really want to dissect a cigar, I drink water with it.
Sure.
But that's because when I'm dissecting a cigar, I'm smoking by myself with no distractions, right? Like, I'm really trying to pick up the flavors and whatnot.
It's the reason a sushi restaurant gives you ginger.
Yes.
It's literally to neutralize what you had before,
Yep.
to not influence what you're having in the future.
Yep. Now, what I will say, going back to the previous question a little bit, I think that someone who has a very, very good palate, the flavor can come from other places than the wrapper, right? So I can't go into much detail of explaining this at the moment, but I have a friend who has blended a cigar, and he was telling me the blending story of this cigar, and what changed the flavor for him wasn't necessarily the wrapper leaf. It was the visos and the seco and the ligero that he was using in that cigar. But I would say that this person has one of the best palates of anybody that I know.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think it comes down to, like, if you truly want to develop your palate, you have to taste things. You have to smell things.
Yep.
You have to smoke a lot of cigars. So if you want cigars to not just taste like quote unquote tobacco, you have to try the cigars and you have to pay attention to them and see what flavors you can pick out.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, got a few more, and they're gonna get cut into the last couple that I really want to. T Money's in the building. This is from who is this from? This is from Sam in Brooklyn, New York. Sam, thank you for sending the question in. Does what you light your cigar with matter? Personal opinion, no. As long as it's lit properly. I would say a torch lighter, in my opinion, is the best way to do it because it lights it evenly, it lights it quickly. You're able to toast the foot of it better. But if you're one of these guys who insists on using a match, no problem. If you're one of these guys who takes it a step further and you're lighting a piece of cedar to then light the cigar, you are inherently potentially a douchebag. Not saying you are. Potentially.
Here's your sign.
here's your sign. But for me, the number one reason is you need to have it lit and lit properly to get the best enjoyment. If you're constantly fighting it because you're using a soft flame or something or a match and you just can't get it going, that really has probably more to do with the fact that you probably just should be using a torch lighter. I guarantee you, if you go to the people in the cigar business for which you idolize, the Padron family, the Fuentes, Lido, or something like that, they all use torch lighters to light their cigars.
Yeah, except for Terrence Riley, who I'm going to bring up again, who carries around a Bic.
And then okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he really? I didn't know that.
He did at PCA. Maybe it was because he was just flying and couldn't have a torch, but he definitely gave us a Bic. I think it's more important what you cut your cigar with and using a good cutter than what you light with.
So that's a great point. 100%. When they say does it matter what you cut your cigar with, I would say yes. I don't care if you use a V. I don't care if you use a punch. I don't care if you use it straight. You want something sharp and reliable that's not going to pinch and break the cap of your cigar, which then will cause it to unravel.
Yeah.
I would much rather you buy a $9 torch lighter and a $50 cutter than I would rather you buy a $5 cutter and a $50 lighter. Would you agree with that?
And, yeah, 100%. I persuade people to do that because, like at the house, I've got 5 paleos laying around in various places that are all $10 to $15 lighters.
Yep.
But I've got one cutter, and it's $100 Icar XO.
Yep.
And it always cuts cigars perfectly.
Yep.
Lighter's a lighter, whether it's a $1,200 ST DuPont or a $15 Paleo or Jetline or whatever. It much more matters for the integrity of the cigar that it's cut properly than what you light it with. So I think the only exception to this, I will say this, is a Zippo. Zippos can influence the flavor of the cigar a little bit, not as much so as it does on the pipe because Zippo fluid has a taste to it.
It does. It does. I am not. Listen, Zippos are personal to people and they have something like that. I don't like lighting cigars with them at all.
No.
Because you can get the vibe of the fluid.
Yeah, it tastes like charcoal lighter fluid.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean that
Like
smell
the
and
old
that
school
taste,
stuff that you squirted on your briquettes.
Yep.
For sure. Okay, a couple here to end it up that I think are great questions that I kind of saved. Let me make sure I didn't skip anything else real quick. Other than these couple. Came from the same person that we spoke to in person yesterday. Day before, was it yesterday we talked to him?
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Which we thought were awesome questions. That kind of go to thing. The first one is, why have cigars got... So this is from Kyle in Greensboro. Shout out, Kyle. We appreciate the questions, bud. First one is, why have cigars gotten stronger over time? And I think his question kind of was coming from a place like, if you go back, is probably maybe like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or if you go back further during the boom of cigars of the 90s, everything was very mild. And let's be honest, Connecticut cigars are still the most popular purchased and smoked cigars from a traditional cigar standpoint. I believe that to still be the case.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think that's changed. It may have gotten tighter, but I still believe that to be the case because it's the most beginner friendly traditional cigar for myself. But we have seen, excuse me, even more so than like the big ring gauge kind of proliferation over the last X amount of years. Companies going with higher priming strength cigars. The most obvious answer is there's a demand for that, right? And I think ultimately that is the case. Why there's a demand for that, I don't know that I can necessarily answer. I'd be interested to see what you think about that, because I think it obviously is a consumer demand thing, right? You wouldn't be making them if consumers weren't buying them. And I think it's a natural evolution of a lot of things. We've seen it in the craft beer boom, right? Is you gone from pilsners, lagers, low ABV IPAs into double IPAs, triples, imperials, big bourbon stouts, stuff like that. There's a nuanced and flavor aspect that I think people are hunting for, that some of the, and it's not necessarily just strong to be strong, but strong in different ways. And obviously the proliferation of, like, I would think like Connecticut broadleaf has probably participated in that. But I'd be very curious as to what you think about that.
I think there's a couple factors here that we need to talk about. One being that the American consumer's palate has changed across the board.
Yep.
That goes to your craft beer point. That goes to bourbon. People want barrel-proof, strong bourbon. They don't want your 80-proof Jim Beam Jack Daniels anymore. They like 100-proof. They like 115. They like hazmat's the new thing these days, something over 140 proof. Look at wine, right? The number one wine that we sell, we've gone away from the French, much more delicate wines to big bold reds,
California,
right?
Napas, Bordeaux, yep.
Yep. Beer has kind of come back a little bit, but I think beer's more of an ABV thing than a flavor thing.
Actually, and I'm going to throw a question at the end that kind of like goes to that. So we'll talk about that in a minute here.
But I do think the American palate has changed to want something more big, bold, and aggressive. I also think that people's palates, people like bold stuff because they don't want to have to think about the flavor.
Yes.
Right? So if you want something that's going to be big and bold and you can tell this is chocolate, this is leather, this is umami, this is spice, you got to smoke something strong to get that.
Yeah.
You don't get that from the nuanced stuff. The other thing, and I think you brought up a good point, is that farming techniques have gotten better. Like broadleaf back in the day used to be disgusting, right? Like
I'm trying to even remember if I even
it wasn't
participated
readily
in that.
available that much.
Who
but
was
that
even making it?
like back in the day?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Like broadleaf was just never a thing because broadleaf was just, the fermentation on it left this really bitter and acrid and just dirty taste in your mouth. Farming techniques have gotten better over time. The fermentation techniques have gotten better, so you've got better flavor coming out of this. Same thing with San Andreas Maduro. The Tarano family going down there and like really perfecting San Andreas tobacco. Without them, I don't know that you've got good San Andreas wrapper. So it's a lot of things that have happened, both with the consumer but also the manufacturer getting better at making things that are stronger.
Yeah, and I don't know this for a fact, but it would be me surmising when you're coming out of the big boom of the 90s and then it fell off pretty dramatically, if you wanted to grow as a manufacturer, right, you were no longer just pumping out these same cigars and everything like that, right, in kind of what was fitting the mold. You had to be more creative, more of a craftsman again, more of, what's going to be unique, what's going to set us apart. And I think that probably has a little bit to do with it as well. Who would you, back on the broadleaf kind of topic, because again, I can't remember back to early broadleaf.
Fuente is the only one that comes to mind. I think
Who
they've
would
always
you,
used broadleaf.
if you were gonna give a manufacturer credit for, I don't want to say perfecting, but modernizing or bringing to life the Connecticut broadleaf, who would it be?
Drew Estate.
That's what I was gonna guess. Yeah.
Undercrown and Liga Privada, number 9.
Yep.
Are such iconic cigars when it comes to broadleaf.
Yep. And then we've seen people who are involved with those, then with new companies,
that's what I was
bring
gonna
theirs
say,
out. Yeah.
Right. Like Nick Malia Foundation is based in the Connecticut River Valley where broadleaf is grown. Like I would argue now that Nick is kind of the king of broadleaf.
I think he makes the best broadleaf cigars.
Yep.
That's me. But
you
Drew
look at-
still does a great job with it across lines. The Nika broadleaf is a great value broadleaf.
Yep. Undercrown's great. Undercrown 10's great. Liga 9's still great. Look at what Steve Saka's done, regardless of your opinion on it. He's done well with his broadleaf stuff. Yeah, I mean, but I don't think you have the big boom of broadleaf without Drew Estate.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of things that you could credit Drew Estate for, but that's the first thing that I was going to say as well. So Kyle's second question, which I think was a great question, because it leads very much into what we talked about earlier with our new space. So Kyle asked us, why do you believe there has been a resurgence of cigar smoking during a very quote-unquote health-conscious time? For me, both from the consumer standpoint and the owner standpoint, and part of the reason that we were actively looking for a way to improve on our business is, and it kind of goes to a little bit of the beer question and stuff like that, which is, are we in a health conscious time? The things you read, yes, obviously you see regulation and stuff like that. But one of the things that you'll see is drinking alcohol is on the decline as a at-home consumption type of thing. But in the social aspect of going somewhere and communally doing it, I think is on the rise and of demand, right? And I think that is with the cigars as well. That a place, the guys who come to us and smoke cigars want to smoke cigars and talk to somebody else. They want to take that time to have a conversation and enjoy the cigar. And I think that part of it is the luxury aspect of it. Like, I want to do something that's luxurious, cool, quote unquote, and have that experience of it. And that's a lot of the reason that we talked about what we needed to do to expand. We needed to be able to offer that to a younger consumer. And I don't mean young consumers, I mean younger consumers in the cigar market, in the alcohol piece of it, having a glass of wine, having a glass of bourbon, or whatever it is, that experience of enjoying it with other people in a place that you can do that, I think really has bolstered the cigar community. There's more of a, and I don't mean this as a negative term, cigar geek culture around it. There's a collectability around it. There's a finding of it. But I think during the COVID piece of it, which we saw an uptick in sales, there was then a revelation of enjoying it with other people and getting back to doing that.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. Is we don't have many things to thank COVID for, but one of the things we can thank COVID for is the appreciation of getting together and enjoying a shared experience, because we didn't have that during COVID.
Yeah.
And so now I think there's this enjoyment of getting together and smoking together. I also think, so for me, I started smoking cigars when I was 18. I wanted to do it because I thought it was cool, but what that evolved into is the reason I kept doing it is because cigars made me slow down.
Yep.
I was really stressed out for no real reason. I was just a stressed out college student. And cigars made me sit down for an hour and just decompress and unwind. And in today's society where everything is so fast,
100%.
Social media, the way
Stressed
things go,
out.
stressed out, they allow you to sit down and just be, right? Just be in the moment. And that's something that not many things offer that enjoyment, right? I think that the other piece of it, too, you were talking about getting together and talking to people. Cigars, I've always called them the great equalizer, right? Because we've seen it in our lounges. You can have a doctor, a janitor, an attorney, trash guy, all walks of life, blue-collar workers, upper class, middle class, lower class, come together, smoke a cigar, and it doesn't matter what they're smoking. Everybody's on the same playing field.
Yep.
You can sit down, you can talk to people. It brings people together, and humans by nature crave that.
Yeah, I think that overall really does sum it up. The ability to escape for a period of time, enjoy time with people that you want to be around, or introduce yourself to new people, and that experience, and get away from the constant barrage of whatever it is, inherently is the reason I think a lot of people smoke cigars, is the stress melt away of it. Like, I need this time to do that.
I think the other interesting thing here, and I don't know how much this plays into it, but I've thought about this before. It's fairly well accepted at this point, at least by the people that I've talked to, that cigars, they're not great for you, but they're not that bad for you.
I'm not a doctor. Okay.
I'm not either.
But I'm going to tell you right now. Personal. Okay. Stress is going to kill you far faster than a cigar was. And if smoking a cigar with other people helps you to relieve from that, I'm sorry, that's just better for you.
Yeah,
I
100%. Like, I've talked to my doctor about it, and she's never been like, "Whoa, are you ready to quit smoking?" And it's like, my blood pressure's good.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I'm looking good. Like, everything's okay. And like, I'm not saying that at some point, once you get older and stuff, if you're on some heart medication, you might not need to slow down a little bit. But if it's allowing you to decompress, that is better for you than being stressed out all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Pat, Trent,
T Money.
So
Special
this
guest.
is our special guest, T Money. So we're doing our mailbag, okay, where we put out for questions. And my favorite question of all the questions that got emailed in came from Daniel in Durham. And he said he wants to know, who's your favorite employee and why is it Trent? And the answer is easy. It's like, it can't be anybody but
That's
T
exactly
Sizzle.
right.
T Money has to be the guy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So that was our last and final question. It's Trent. So to any of our other employees who listen to this podcast,
Be better.
be better, do better, be better. Look to Trent as to what you should be.
That's exactly right.
And you will be doing much
That's
better.
exactly right.
All right, so we'll wrap it up. I love the questions. Q&A, good stuff. We'll have some more pods before the end of the year. Everybody enjoy the holidays. We'll put some stuff out. We will be doing the Stogies again. The Stogie Awards are in the next early next year. We'll have the Stogie Awards. Hopefully do the Stogies live. Well, we will be doing the Stogies live, but we will do them live from the new lounge, which would be sick. So we'll put it out there for people to come and enjoy the live Stogie Awards for us. If if you have any nominees for any certain category, please send them in. We may put out for some nominations. We'll see. We'll have a good chunk of awards and again, everything like that. But great time on this one. Again, happy holidays to everybody. You'll probably see another pod before Christmas. But if you don't catch it, we hope everybody has a great holiday. And keep an eye on our social for all the new stuff for the new space, which is super exciting. Sound good? Anything before we go?
No.
Perfect.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. See you, buddy.
See you.
Peace.
Yeah, between two burns, yeah, between two burns. Come and join the convo. Jason and Ethan here to talk, yo. Chillin' while we filling up the room with cigar smoke. Hey, between two burns, yeah, between two burns. This be the show that you like. We always keeping it hype. We got cigars and a mic, talking the pipe and the pint. Let's go.